Hey, greetings all. This is Pastor Mike, and welcome back to Stumbling Toward the Eschaton. I'm Pastor Mike Neal, and this is our good man,
Nick Bilas, and I'm going to start off today's episode with the introduction of All Saints' Day. Of all 3 years of the lectionary cycle, this year's All Saints reading will have the most tears. Isaiah and Revelation look forward to the day when God will wipe away all tears. In John's Gospel, Jesus weeps along with Mary and all the gathered mourners before he demonstrates his power over death. On All Saints' Day, we celebrate the victory won for all of the faithful dead, but we grieve for our beloved dead as well. Knowing that God honors our tears, he brings our grief to the table and finds there a foretaste of Isaiah's feast to come.
It's a good intro. That was good writing there. Yeah, so this episode, we're looking toward November 1st, which for some denominations, some Christians, is called All Saints' Day or All Saints Sunday, which is this celebration of all of God's saints. Well, we get to this, before we get to some larger concepts, let's get to the text, right? We always save the larger stuff for later, text first.
Yeah.
I'm getting ahead of myself.
Calm down, man. You're too crazy. You're at a 7. I need you to be at a 6.
But this one goes to 11. It goes to 11.
11.
Can't believe we just did a Spinal Tap reference for biblical dialogue. All right, God, Father, forgive me. All right. So there's actually, as we were talking before, there's 2 texts we like here, right?
Yes. We both like the second reading of Revelations, and we like our gospel by the good man John.
Let's start with the Gospel of John, because the Gospel of John is this good story. And the Gospel text is actually the Gospel of John, the 11th chapter, verses 32 through 44. I always say that, you know what I mean? So if you ever want to pause it and read it in whatever translation you like, go right ahead. But it's the story, ultimately, of the resurrection of Lazarus.
Yes.
Some people might not be familiar, some might, but Jesus, besides the apostles, the 12, and some of the other disciples, there were some good friends that he had, especially in the Gospel of John. There's Mary and Martha, they're the sisters. They also have their own little episode where, there's the struggle about which one's the best at being a host for Jesus. I can never keep them straight because they both have M's as their names, and I can't do it. I've read the text how many times. But one of them is all trying to be busy around the house and super domestic woman. You know what I mean? The other's like, dude, I got a guess. I'm going to kick it and listen to Jesus. But that's the story for another time. But they also have a brother named Lazarus. And Jesus, Jesus is tight with these folks. Unfortunately, Lazarus down up and dies. Mary and Martha, they send word to look, we know who you are. We know you've healed people. You're pretty awesome. We need your help. If you're willing to heal people that ain't your friends, that are just random dudes like, I can't walk, or I'm blind, or, laundry to ailments, if you're willing to help them out and do these miraculous things, you got to be able to do it for one of your butts. You know what I mean? You owe me a solid kind of thing. And so he gets there, and it's, wow, verse 32, when Mary came where Jesus was and saw him, she knelt at his feet, said to him, Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died. When Jesus saw her weeping, and the Jews who came with her also weeping, he was greatly disturbed in spirit and deeply moved. He said, where have you laid him? They said to him, Lord, come and see. Jesus began to weep. So the Jews said, see how he loved him. But some of them said, could not he who opened the eyes of the blind man kept this man from dying? And that exchange is pretty tight. And it's an important exchange, because I think it's an honest exchange that Christians throughout all eras have kind of had with God. Because straight up, there's been moments where it's like, all right, God, we know you're awesome. You can do some awesome things. I straight up need you now. Like, this is not like I want a pony kind of prayer.
Yeah.
This is person A, B, or in my life. They need some serious help.
Yeah.
And that cry of Mary, Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died, is not the lone cry of Mary. There are many people that have probably said that. And even then, the closing ones from just the crowd. You know what I mean? The crowd, could not he open the minds of mine, man? Kept this dude from dying? Obviously, he's dude a lot in ancient Aramaic.
Yeah. That was how they said man. They said dude. Blind dude. Keep this dude from dying.
I know. But it's that common. I mean, it's there. It's even in the Bible, that struggle of, we know who you are. We know what you can do. So what's going on?
Mm-hmm.
And it goes on because even after that time, he calls Lazarus out of the tomb. He calls him out of death and again into life. And the great last phrase of the miracle, and bind him and let him go. That loosing from the bonds of death for this man. And that is a powerful text here. Because how many of us have found ourselves at an intersection of, I don't want this person to die. Hopefully nobody wants anybody ever to die.
Mm-hmm.
But there are those deep down moments where it's like, Lord, come on.
Mm-hmm.
And in that dark twilight of you wish God was a cosmic vending machine. Where it's like,
yeah.
I will take a loan out for quarters to keep put him in there, and I'll hit C6 until I get all the Skittles.
Yes.
Sorry, that was a reference to last episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because a lot of people do. They have this a lot when like their pets are dying with like situation like if that the pet's in pain and they're like, come on God, just do me this favor, make their kidney not sucky. Like it's just like,
yeah,
we all have those moments there.
And you appreciate those wild turnarounds that happen.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I think one of the great joys of this text, and let's be honest, at the get-go, is one of the great joys is that Scripture does not gloss over this struggle. It's straight up in here in the gospel. This struggle is not something that Scripture just says, well, you shouldn't have it. You know what I mean? No. Can't see my finger wag, but I always forget that. And so it's there. It's right straight up there. And the fact that in that moment of that struggle, what does Jesus do? I mean, it plainly says he weeps. He's disturbed in spirit and deeply moved, which is awesome. Have I ever ranted about sometimes the translations from Greek are really, you know what I mean? No diss on any of the NRSV translators and those sorts of things. Sometimes they lack the oomph that I think is really there in the Greek. Because, I mean, it's not that he was disturbed in spirit. I mean, it sounds like an old British guy that's like, "Egad, I'm disturbed in spirit because my trousers are not pressed rightly, and so the wooliness of my trousers is undetected." I mean, like, seriously, disturbed in spirit? Like, if everyone said to my kids, you know what, I'm disturbed in spirit.
They'd be like, all right, Dad.
Like, what's disturbed
Continues to write on the wall.
You know, like, I'm disturbed in spirit. No. Dude is straight up super depressed. He's not happy. He is deeply moved. But it's like, there's not a good way of saying deeply moved because it says, I'm deeply moved by your car. You know what I mean? It's one of my favorites. Like, your gift has deeply moved me.
I'm going to have to start using that now.
Well, no, sometimes in the NRSV, I have like the stodgy British Jesus. Where it's like, yes, that's quite good. I appreciate all of your prayers. But let us not be too emotional while having them. Still overlooking all. You know, the British Jesus.
I'm pretty sure with that accent, you could just say whatever you want, and everyone would be like, "Yeah, exactly."
British Jesus. Sorry, you get a weird insights into me sometimes, but I love British Jesus sometimes. Some of the translation of British Jesus. And he left the synagogue, and he told his parents, "Well, should you expect me? But with my father's house, you know." He's being smarmy, but the translation has it all like, "Oh, what a good boy."
Yeah.
And so, I mean, it's the sense that it's not just like, oh, too bad, so sad. I mean, the guy is wrecked. I mean, I don't know about any other term, but like, you're wrecked. He's not aloof and far off. One of his dudes has died, and it's like, ah. And I think even in our own struggle with this thing, that's where God meets us too. We don't have a British aloof God. Mm-hmm. We got a God that gets wrecked in the discotheque with us. I mean, he's not aloof, far off, but present, like with Mary and Martha, in that moment. You know what I mean? And I like the one of the translations of verse 35 is Jesus wept. Mm-hmm. I like this translation, Jesus began to weep, because in some ways, because of our brokenness, I don't think he's going to stop until we hit the eschaton. Mm-hmm. The culmination of all things in the final resurrection, because we keep giving him good reasons to weep with our own brokenness and our own wounds. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's, yeah. And other thoughts on John?
I don't know. It's a really interesting reading with that, and how I find it pretty funny. You told me that miracles work like this, but Martha says that he's been laying in this cave for 4 days after he's died, and there's like he's already starting to smell and all that kind of stuff. And to me, when I picture this, Jesus is just like, "Rise, Lazarus," and he's just like, he's just a corpse.
He's zombified.
Yeah, he's a zombie.
You get the zombie resurrection.
Yeah.
No, I don't think it's Jesus discount resurrections. You know what I mean?
Yes.
It's a discount resurrection. The used car resurrections. No. This is a Cadillac resurrection.
Yeah.
Did you just create different tiers of resurrection? I think I just accidentally did. Don't take that as a theological norm, people. All right. But yeah, I mean, but I think that's added in there so that it wasn't like the whole sense of, well, he was just asleep.
Yeah.
Nappy time for Lazarus. Mm-hmm. Nobody's dead. But it is even later that eventually the resurrection happens. And I think that might be one of the great commentaries to pull out of it, and maybe a good segue to Revelation, is the resurrection is not yet. Which is hard, let's be honest, because we want the resurrection now. We are impatient for the resurrection. But it doesn't happen until, the eschaton, the culmination of all things that we keep stumbling along the way toward. I tell you what. You want to hop to Revelation then?
Yeah, let's hop to it.
And that leads us to...
That was my hop.
Oh man, quit hopping to the Revelation. But Revelation 21 is this almost the end, because there's only 22 chapters in the Revelation to St. John. Mm-hmm. That's one of those things. And so this is post all the creepy stuff. Because let's be honest, I want to address this now. There's a lot of stuff in Revelation that people either dig because it seems like the cover of a heavy metal album, or do not like because it seems like the cover of a heavy metal album. You know what I mean? There's the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. Some people, not my bag. Some people are like, really? That's in your book?
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's like, all right, dude, let's tone it down a little bit. Yeah. Yes, I just whammy barred in my own head. Oh, jeez, we are digressing pretty awesome today. But here we are, the book of Revelation, chapter 21, and it's this eschaton that we've mentioned before. It's even part of our title. It's this culmination of all things. It's this good thing. It's this new life. It's this bodacious time at the end of all days that you dig. And it begins with this. I saw a new heaven and a new earth. For the first heaven and the first earth had passed away, and the sea was no more. And I saw the holy city, the new Jerusalem, coming down out of heaven from God, prepared as a bride adorned for her husband. And I heard a loud voice from the throne saying, see, the home of God is among mortals. He will dwell with them. They will be his peoples. And God himself will be with them. He will wipe every tear from their eyes. Death will be no more. Mourning and crying and pain will be no more, for the first things have passed away. And the one who was seated on the throne said, see, I am making all things new. Also he said this, write this, for these words are trustworthy and true. Then he said to me, it is done. I am the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end. And that is that great cry of the eschaton in light in some ways of Lord, if you were here, my brother would have not died. I don't know if you've heard this text a lot before. First responses to, do you like Revelation chapter 21?
It's pretty deep. It's kind of the just don't give up kind of, that's the vibe that I'm getting from it. Because, yeah, life is going to suck now, but you know what? Tomorrow, hey, flaming horsemen and city of God's going to be coming, That's always a possibility. But yeah, it's pretty interesting. How do you feel about it?
I'm always a big fan of it because it has that promise. And it's also got an important thing. I like the image of the holy city coming down out of heaven from God, prepared as a bride adorned for her husband. Why? Because I think we can get caught in this trap again of trying to earn things. And that we get this movement. Because you can always talk about, in some ways, theology of movement. And I don't mean interpretive dance, which would be awesome, but I don't think anybody wants me to interpretively dance anything.
I do.
But yeah, I know you would. But I don't think anybody else would, brother. But there's the sense of, we often get caught in this motion of, well, we need to work our way up right? Okay, I got to do blank, blank, blank to be awesome to God and earn my way up. But since the get-go, in even the Christmas story, God's got a different jam and a different movement. What is it? God coming to us. That's the whole awesome part of the incarnation, right?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, we can't get to you, God. He's like, I got your back, Jack. I'll come to you. I'm the babe in the manger. And then incarnation, even in the sense of John, he's with people in the sorrow. And this awesome incarnational act of, look, first heaven and the first earth and the first heaven have passed away. New one. City of Jerusalem, the perfect home, descends out of heaven. It comes down. And he says, see, the home of God is among mortals. Wait a second. We often get excuses that we need to go to God's house. But this movement, the verbiage here, all of it's saying is the home of God is among mortals. Is that God's going to tabernacle. I think that's even part of the verbiage here. Don't quote me on it. But pitching one's tent or creating one's home or laying the foundation in a place. So God's saying, no, amongst the mortals, amongst the humans, I am putting my dwelling place because I'm picking that real estate. And he will dwell with them, and they will be his peoples. I just also love the word peoples.
Peoples, yeah. I always like when you're looking at a fire, like a fire safety thing, and it's like no more than 130 persons can be in this room. I'm like, what's a persons?
Look at all them persons.
I know.
I don't want to get into it. There's probably some grammar person out there, a linguistic person.
Who's just writing in the comments.
By the way, I'm going to explain the difference between person, persons, people, and peoples. Here you go. Read the 1800 lines. We need people like you. Okay, so if you need to write that, that's fine. We have grace.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But this, but God will be with them, and he will wipe every tear from their eyes. That's awesome incarnational. It's like the sense of he will straight up, I got this covered. Death will be no more. And it's this culmination that even Lazarus foretold in some ways. Even stinky Lazarus foretold it. And maybe the grave stank adds to that coolness of we're not there yet. Because Lazarus died again. Lazarus, you know what I mean? He can't say YOLO. Sorry, was that bad? I just couldn't resist. The Lazarus one, just, you know what I mean? I couldn't resist.
No, like with SpongeBob, living like Larry, live like Lazarus.
Do it. Living like Lazarus.
Put that on a t-shirt. Smack it. Redbubble.com.
Oh my goodness. If we get t-shirts out of this and we have SpongeBob talking about Lazarus, we are everywhere, brother. But I mean, you have this promise then for all of us as Lazaries, is that this Lazaruses. It's like the plural of octopus and octopi. You know, the octopi. Octopi. Nom, nom, nom. Oh, excuse me, everybody. But that sense of, it will be. It's not here yet, and we got to keep stumbling toward it, but it will be there, and that's the promises that we can take for ourselves, for our loved ones, and all those wonderful things down the pipe. Yeah, I mean, great text. I'm really glad you suggested we do them both, because they're really tight together.
Yeah, they fit really hand in hand.
Oh, good on you, Nick, because, I like to overfocus on things.
Yeah.
But now, here's the rub. And are you going to humor me, Nick?
Sure, let's humor.
Is that, even as we talk about the phrase all saints, we have not mentioned the phrase all saints in all of this.
Oh, true. Oh, my goodness.
Well, yeah. I mean, and so there's also this jam that, okay, bear with me, people. Bear with me.
Bear, like literal bears.
Do you know what problem we run into confirmation? I got to share this because this is hilarious.
Random bear attacks.
No, even better. Do not bear false witness has devolved in confirmation to like this lawyer bear that really hates when people lie on the stand.
That's awesome.
Because confirmation is wild. And there's like, I'm lawyer bear, and your false witness shall not be here.
Is that bear also voiced by British Jesus?
My accents get bad, but kids will write on the board. It'll be like a bear head with like a bow tie and like a regular tie. But it's now that commandment: do not bear false witness. I always imagine this brown bear in a court. I object, your answer. This is a false witness.
You. And it's like Phoenix, right, with the objection.
Yes, it's like the excessive courtroom drama.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh. Okay, we got to tighten this thing up. We're running out of time, brother. But there's this awesome part of the Apostles' Creed. We as a church and as a denomination, we dig the creeds. These creeds are these awesome, succinct ways of talking about what are some of the central stuff that we believe about God. In this third article, I believe in the Holy Spirit, there is this line about, I believe in the communion of saints. which is wild. And it's one of those things that does not get enough airtime. You know what I mean? I wish it'd get more airtime than Carly Rae Jepsen. No offense against Carly Rae Jepsen. But I wish it would get more airtime because it's this awesome concept of, okay, so what's a saint? You know what I mean? We got, you know what I mean? You've heard of saints before, right? You name some of them. Just name some.
Saint Patrick.
Of course. I put you on the spot.
Saint Francis. I know that one.
I like Frank.
Let's see.
He comes... dude, he's the guy that's get confused with Christmas. You know, he's a saint.
Oh, Saint Nicholas.
Yeah, Santa Claus.
Santa Claus.
And to get that, but you know what I mean. For a lot of there's understanding of like the super dudes. You know what I mean, like the super Christians.
Saint Paul. You're gonna get me on this train. I'm just gonna shout off random
Well, I
names.
know, but this is what happens when I surprise you. I didn't prime the pump on this one. I'm a horrible human being. I own it. You put me on the spot.
So one of my favorite things about Christmas is I can't remember what it's called. It's basically, I think it's some kind of like Dutch Santa where he steals children and makes them into elves to work for him if they were bad.
Are you talking about the Krampus?
Krampus, yeah.
Krampus is a very dramatic thing. Let's not go on the Krampus thing.
Yeah, that's our Christmas special.
No, we're not doing. Are we want to do the Krampus? Oh my! They're making a Krampus movie.
Really?
Oh, it's so bad looking. Don't Google it. And no people are gonna Google it. Don't Google it. All right, but tight up, okay? But all the saints. But there is this understanding that the community of saints is that in baptism, in this God's community, we are bound together across, time and space, and we are connected with all the baptized, which is an awesome concept. Because in baptism, there is one communion or community, and it is the community of all God's people. And that community is not bound by time or space or all of those things, but it is eternally in communion, which offers this sense of that's pretty great. One, that, we got brothers and sisters in Christ that are having a real rough go in Syria. Mm-hmm. We can't ignore that because we are connected and bound to them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So there is that sense of even across geographical borders, we are bound to them. We're community. God says we're community with them. We got to start acting like it. Mm-hmm. But there's also the sense that as loved ones we know who have died and who wait for that culmination, who wait for that grand day when the New Jerusalem descends, we're still connected with them. Because, I've said it before, probably haven't said it here. I say it a lot at sermons, funeral sermons, because I think it needs to be said. And it's simply this. As good people of faith, maybe you are, maybe you're not, but as one, I've had people I know and I care about die. I'm not worried about their immortal soul. They're pretty tight. Mm-hmm. I straight up miss them. Same thing when people stinking move away. You know what I mean? But unfortunately, I can't Facebook post-mortem.
Give it like 10 years.
Oh, don't do that. 10 years. Dead book?
Yeah, dead. Face dead.
All right, this is the most tangential episode we've ever done.
Yeah.
Hopefully this is not a foretaste of these, but you know what I mean? But it's that connection. So loved ones. So my grandparents, who in some ways I missed. My grandpa Wilbur, who cracked milk. There is that connection. True, I cannot, automatically call them up. But there is that promise, that connection. You know what I mean? I always hear that as good news. Some people, I don't know.
Mm-hmm. I feel like that was a good discussion for today, from Krampus to Saints. I think you should end it off today.
You want me to end it off? All right, Nick. These have been some deep stuff. I think that's why I probably chatted more. We got pretty deep on these things. Brother and sisters, thank you for joining us. Thank you for standing with us in some of these deep topics. Hopefully, you've heard some grace, heard some good news. Keep on stumbling. Have a good one.
See ya.